ultimately, when you break down, it's not sport anymore, is it? And if sport in its essence is like, let's see the best fight the best and see the best that there is, then it's not. This is more influencer boxing. I think one of the best boxing brains in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
So he's a very skillful fighter. I want to see him fighting Ngannou in the cage.
Whoa.
How about that, eh? Would you pay for that?
I'd pay. Right guys, welcome back to Fight Lens and Sporting Talk TV. We're in Ladbroke Grove with none other than George Groves in Ladbroke Grove. Match made in heaven. How have you been, George?
I'm good, thank you, Owen. Yeah, Ladbroke Grove.
Yeah.
So we at the Dale Youth ABC, probably in the background. Yeah.
There it is.
Amateur club. Love this place. Back here. It's great to have you guys here.
Cheers. Yeah. Well, let's get cracking with the boxing chat. Dave Allen, as you predicted, was too good in the end for Johnny Fisher. Great fight, but a stunning KO finish there. Do you think it was too quick the turnaround? And also, what about the matchmaking from Eddie Hearn? Do you think it was a bit of a quick jump up from, who was it he knocked out for? Alan Babbage in about 15 seconds. So,
yeah, I think when the fight was first made, we're all talking with hindsight now, and you can say, oh, the fight was made too early. I don't think so. I think he's a really good, improved fighter, Johnny Fisher, a good athlete. Looked like he was making all the right moves, and this felt like the right move. Dave Allen is very experienced. He's good at what he does, but there's a lot of missing chinks in his armour. Whether that be his mindset, his dedication, his conditioning, stuff like that. But he's clever, and he's boxed at a higher level, of course. Won some, lost some. But the first fight out in Saudi, there were variables, wasn't there? There was that excuses for Johnny Fisher, if you will. Like, he's fighting away from home when he's usually in front of a large crowd. Yeah. I know he does so much interaction with his friends, families, fans, which can be distracting, to say the least. It can also be exhausting. And I think those guys, getting them to Saudi Arabia, making sure they're taken care of, making sure they've had a good time, and even though Big John takes care of a lot of that, and his other family and team do as well, certainly there's an element of that falls on Johnny's shoulders. But this time he took himself away. I think he was in Vegas training a lot of the time, from what I heard.
Fuerteventura as well.
Fuerteventura, yeah.
He said he wasn't on his phone, no social media, stuff like that, which is good tactic, really.
Yeah, and conditioning-wise, he looked really good. Like, his body looked like it had matured during this camp. But, it wasn't meant to be for him. He made some adjustments, which I thought were quite good, but the pressure's on. And to settle into a fight, that's what you've got to do. You've got to settle in and get comfortable with Dave Allen. Dave Allen is a fighter who, he's not fussed, is he? He's not bothered. He's not nervous as such.
He looked so relaxed, didn't he? He looked so chilled in there. Yeah.
But everything's a bonus for him, isn't it? Because he's been in there when he's supposed to get beat, and he has been beat. He's been beaten up. He's been thrown to the wolves at times. Yeah. So everything's a bonus. And there was that comfortableness to him. There was that comfort where where they sparred before, when they're talking about the sparring, and back then this ended, Fisher Jr. was novice-y, and Allen was controlling the spar, winning the spar. I think Darren Barker, who I was listening to talk about it. He was probably coaching Allen at the time. Having that going into a fight when you've been dominant in sparring always plays a part, plays a factor. It can be shocking, sometimes it can backfire, because the guy you're in there with has actually made some massive improvements, and what you're expecting you do not get. You get something much better. Yeah. But the relaxed nature of Allen, just the way that he's just calm. He's calm under fire, but he's also calm when he was pressing. And he literally got to Fisher, who after a few rounds, I felt like he settled into the fight. He started doing well. He was picking out them body shots, and he wasn't tightening up with them. He wasn't gassing. The chin was coming up a bit high. He was leaving that left hand out there a little bit too long at times. But you can't fault Allen in terms of the shots that he landed, put together, and the finish was exquisite, really.
Spectacular, yeah.
And he goes right body, left body, and he just whips that left hook on the chin against a guy who, you know, is ready to be for the taking at that point. He's been down, he's got up, catches him on the bell, face first. Fortunately, he doesn't hit his head off the canvas as he goes down, but he goes down hard.
Towel came in, I think, at the exact moment, didn't it?
Yeah, towel came in. It was on the bell.
Yeah.
I think, you know, obviously the towel kind of had to come in at that point. I don't know. Fisher didn't beat the count. He wouldn't have beat the count. But, so, no. You know, for a really likable, popular, you know, fighter like him, on hindsight, you say that was terrible matchmaking because he shouldn't have gone in for that immediate rematch.
Yeah.
But
even Dave Allen said it himself. He said you shouldn't rematch me. But I think sometimes pride kind of gets in the way of a wise decision.
Yeah, there'll be business at hand. They know that let's make this fight again. It'll be a big fight. It'll make a load of money, and therefore the fighters make money.
$500,000 nearly. So,
but that fight will always be there for him, and you've got to have an eye on the future. You've got to back yourself for the future, Owen. So you say, right, the wheels might come off. You know, I might get beat again in a lesser fight, and that fight might not be there. But for me, the best move, if I was looking after Fisher, would have been to go back to the drawing board, get him another win, maybe even another win after that, and then revisit Allen. But easier said than done.
Yeah, they made their decision. So now you think he'll go and maybe take a step back and then come back in a fight that he's going to be much more, you know, likely to win. I
think have a rest. You know, so a chap said to me recently, he's a trainer, and he was talking about his fighter in a fight, and he said, he's obviously talking about rematches, and he's like, never return to the scene of a crime, right?
That's a good point.
And you know, people thought Johnny Fisher was lucky to get the fight in the first place, and he maybe returned to the scene of the crime and paid the price. Froch returned to the scene of the crime, but he got away with the crime. he stole the crown jewels that night. So maybe that's not always the best advice. But I think Fisher have a rest now. Have a rest from boxing. And because it would have been a real intense period of his life after the first fight, the camp that would have gone into place, to have no satisfaction really with a win. Again, referring back to myself. If I'm talking about the two Froch fights I had, I then went straight back in 3 months later, world title eliminator, fighting for a European title. I was much further along in my career than Fisher was, but there is that urge to chase something, that urge to, I've got to make up for lost time. But if I think Johnny Fisher, have a rest, not too long of a rest, but have a break, have a total break from boxing, get back in the gym, and improve. Make the improvements.
I'm sure he will. But speaking of returning to the scene of the crime, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn allegedly, according to Eddie Hearn, desperate for the rematch. Eubank Jr., I think you've advised him to maybe walk away from boxing entirely now, but that money there in that rematch is going to be a huge dangling carrot, isn't it, for him?
Of course, and he's going to take it, and the fight's going to happen, and we're going to watch the return. But if it was a movie, Owen, what are we going to see in the sequel? Like, what? They didn't leave it open-ended.
No.
There was no controversy. Did we see anything different? It was what sort of a fight was it? It was
firefight.
It was a custom-made fight, wasn't it? Because of the dad's history, the dad's past, the dad's rivalry. It was forced upon them to then become rivals when they were never even in the same division. Obviously, the positive drugs tests from Benn and then the saga that followed has really intensified this. But we've had every bit of drama we possibly could. Nigel Benn played his part brilliantly. Conor Benn played his part brilliantly. The Eubanks in general, it's never straightforward with them. Is Senior going to show up? Of course he's going to show up.
He wants
As
to be
if
the
he's
star
not
of the
going to show up. He's going to show up. He's going to get out of the cab first before his son. We've had that bit. Like I don't see what other sort of drama they can script. So I'm not sure why.
To the first fight, you reckon?
And the first fight was entertaining. It was very entertaining, but we might just watch another entertaining fight, and maybe that's plenty enough. That's more than enough for us. But ultimately, when you break down, it's not sport anymore, is it? And if sport in its essence is like, let's see the best fight the best and see the best that there is, then it's not. This is more influencer boxing. It's more and he's not. They would be really good influencer boxers if they didn't have. Was that either pigeons or rats? We can
pigeon,
hear maybe both. Maybe both. Conor Benn looks cool. He's driving around a brand new Rolls Royce that he says was paid for with Eubank's weight failing. He's dyed his hair like Cisco. He looks the part. It'll be a big fight. I don't think it'll be as big in the rematch as it was the first time.
Yeah.
But they're talking about Tottenham, aren't they? They're talking about having it at Tottenham in September.
That's where the first one was. Yeah. Great fight. Great
so it's a wonderful place to have it, and if they do have it, it will be great because there'll be loads of build up. Boxing fans will be interested, but I don't know. Can we see something different? Is it another similar fight and Conor Benn wins?
The other potential fight is Eubank Jr and Canelo, and who was it? Amir Khan was saying that he reckons Eubank Jr could cause him some serious problems.
No, he can't. No,
he
can't call it. He can't. No, Eubank Jr is way past his best.
Well, you showed us that.
That was 7 years ago, and he was at his best then.
Yeah.
That was him at his best. But let's get it straight. Eubank versus Conor Benn is an 80-20 fight, right? But when we watched it, it was a 50-50 fight, and the caveat was there has to be some sort of handicap element to even the score because Conor Benn's coming up in weight, and Eubank is tight at the weight, to say the least. And if anything, he's way past his best. He showed a couple of chinks in the armour along the way. I thought the fight before out in Saudi didn't really set the world alight, and this fight, he had to leave a part of his soul in the ring to get the win that night, and that was great for us to watch ringside, brilliant. But if you're Eubank, why not just go out on that amazing high, right? You've beaten what is now your rival in a stadium, with people on your side, people cheering for you, people happy for you. It might not last forever. If he fights Canelo, great, it's up at 168. He hasn't got to worry about cutting to 160. He don't have to put up the videos of him sweating out in a sauna suit, which you're not allowed to do, Eubank. You can't do that. The British Boxing Board of Control should have pulled the fight.
Really?
They should have cancelled that fight. As soon as it's against the rules, Owen. You can't post videos of you losing weight like that and still box. But the fact is, the matter is, the fight's so big, Eubank's name's too big, they're not going to cancel the fight. But there's other fighters out there. If someone had done it on the undercard, I guarantee you they would not be boxing that night.
Yeah, interesting.
So up at 168, there's no disgrace in losing to Canelo, and it might be another monster payday. That would be the only option for Eubank. There's no one else out there who he's allowed to get beat to. And sure, have the rematch with Conor Benn for the money, but you might be rolling the dice, fella, on not winning and getting beat.
And then your legacy
and then you just, it's another loss on your record.
Yeah, interesting. We'll wait and see what happens there. You mentioned influencer boxing there. I don't know if you caught any of the Misfits cards last weekend. Darren Till was on it. Wakey Wines got a win.
Should have watched it.
You should have watched it. Do you
Yeah.
think it can be taken a bit more seriously, or do you think having Wakey Wines on there is just even diminishing any credibility that it might have not had or might have once had?
I should know more about who Wakey Wines is, I think.
He basically got famous from running a corner shop and then making it kind of into sort of, I don't know how he did it, just TikTok stuff basically.
Right, yeah, okay.
And catchy songs.
How much is he the guy who's come in and ask how much
I don't know.
a prime drink is or something?
He's got famous off the prime stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, good for him. Do you know what? I don't mind the influencer boxing, to be honest. If they are influencing people and they're attracting them to boxing, I think that it's still a light years away from professional boxing, and therefore people will, even the younger generation, the teenagers now, will know the difference between this one and this one. And ultimately, if it inspires them to get in the gym and get fit and healthy, even if it's not to become a professional boxer one day, boxing's good. Boxing's really good for a lot of people who are suffering or need a bit of clarity or direction in their life.
Yeah, true. And the youngsters might start watching, the Misfits cards and then realise there's actual proper boxing out there as well, and then gradually.
No, absolutely. So you know, that's they can do, but I didn't quite catch it. I think we're not far off a proper crossover soon, where you're going to get ex-pros who are not like Tyson, who have been retired for 20 years. Guys who are literally can't compete now in boxing. I think was it Idris someone boxed on the what's his name? I'm talking about him the other day. He boxed Ty Mitchell.
That's
Idris
right.
and Ty Mitchell.
That's right.
Both pros who
I think of what it is.
weren't I don't think were that great, but now they're on the Misfits cards.
Yeah.
So
I've got it here.
Idris Ergo is so
Good
yeah,
memory,
he was on
good memory.
he was on Love Island. I never saw it, but I see him box as a pro and I thought he was decent. But ultimately, if you're not good enough to make serious money in pro boxing, and you've got a particular look and you're willing to behave a particular way, Misfits is
There's money
there
to be made over on Misfits. Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement, age 46, and not just for like a sort of walk in the park type fight. He's taking on Mario Barrios, the actual champ, right?
Yeah. He's putting us all to shame, isn't he? 46.
46.
He's not calling out Jake Paul or any of them Misfits. No, it was a real fight, a proper fight. He is being a freak of nature. I know there's a lot, a lot of stuff's coming up on my feed questioning Manny Pacquiao.
Some people calling it embarrassing for boxing, but it's 46 isn't what 46 used to be, you could say.
No, not with clean living.
Yeah.
But he was a phenomenal athlete, a freak of nature. As far as I'm aware, never tested positive for anything, so you can't say that he wasn't legitimate. But you would say what he did was he was a freak of nature. Phenomenal fighter.
And went into politics, and now he's fancies a bit more.
Maybe fancies he fancies a world title shot. He would put it past me. I don't know what sort of shape he would be in. It would be a shame if he's really deteriorated and then we see him box, because you see that time and time again where fighters have a little break, come back, and then they're nowhere near the same. And then they have to hold their hands up and own up. One springs to mind would be like Ricky Hatton, who had his comeback. David Hay the same, and they're not the same.
No.
But we'll
see.
You can't say the same for Pacquiao. You never know.
No. And Tank Davis and Lamont Roach are having their rematch set for August 16th. Remember the controversy in the first one with the grease in the eye, and then the majority draw in the end, wasn't it? So definitely needs a rematch. Yeah. Who's your money on? Tank for that one?
Well, you think so. I mean, he's an incredible fighter, Tank Davis, but the bits that I see, how dedicated is he to boxing? I'm sure he must be still living the life, But there was, I remember when I watched it, and then he does go to, he touches down, but it's not a knockdown. The referee doesn't score it a knockdown. But I suppose if you're going by the rules, your glove touches the floor, you can count it a knockdown. So it's a strange one. He made a bizarre decision at that point. And
he took the knee, didn't he? He kind of took the knee to just...
But
what should you do in that situation? Say you're in the ring, you've got...
I don't know. Maybe just follow the rules. I think if the rules are your knee touches the floor, it's a knockdown. Then you have to score it a knockdown. Yeah. But.
You just try and fight out to the end of the round, and even if you've only got one eye, you can just still.
But you should just tell the ref.
Yeah. Weird. Poor ring management. We'll put that down to. No. Yeah, but do you think the lightweight division in general is one of the most exciting divisions in boxing at the moment? You've got Keyshawn Davis there as well, Shakur Stevenson. It's pretty exciting. There's a lot of good matchups that could be made, but I think Tank refuses to fight. No, Keyshawn Davis refuses to fight Shakur Stevenson. Right. So they got this brotherhood pact. But then Tank's Tank's using that against them, saying, no, you two have to fight each other to decide who gets to fight me. So they're kind of stuck in this sort of limbo situation where no one will fight each other, which is a bit ridiculous.
I was unaware of the brotherhood. Yeah. But it is a great division. It is a really, really good division. I'd like to see them all fight each other. Yeah. See who is the number one.
To see. 4 of the top selling pay-per-view fights of all time all feature one boxer. Can you figure it out?
Floyd?
It is indeed, yeah. Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao, 4.6 million. Floyd versus Conor McGregor. Yeah.
Floyd versus Andre Berto, because I was on the undercard actually. No, I'm joking. No, it wasn't that one.
It's not that one, no. I'm sure
You had Floyd, Oscar De La Hoya.
Yes, number 3, 3.6 million.
Yeah, number 4, it would have been, so Floyd again, number 4?
Floyd again, number 4, yeah.
Floyd again, number 4. Oh, it wasn't Hatton, was it? It was, no, it would, so. Canelo.
Canelo, he's got it, yeah. And number 5, weirdly, well, not
Tyson.
that weirdly. Yeah.
Tyson Lewis.
No, Tyson Holyfield too.
Is it?
Yeah. 1.95 million. And they must fall off a cliff after that.
I mean, that is a huge fight. And that would have been a huge fight at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how much the pay-per-view was back then.
Still probably 20 quid, 25 probably.
Yeah,
that's one thing that hasn't
relative.
really increased that much, has it? It's kind of stayed the same. But do you think we'll probably never see numbers like that again now because of the old Amazon Fire Stick?
Yeah.
I reckon. So yeah, those days are gone. Boxing fans already seem convinced that Tyson Fury is coming out of retirement. I think he's retired 5 times now, so maybe that's why people aren't convinced, because he always comes back.
Yeah.
Do you think he will? And what will be his comeback fight?
I want to see him fighting Ngannou in the cage. Whoa. How about that, eh? Would you pay for that?
I'd pay for that.
Yeah, if they said, like, you can't get on the Fire Stick, it's going to cost 25 quid, you go, all right, fine, yeah, I'll pay for that.
I'll shell out for that.
I like that fight. I think Ngannou got in the boxing ring with Fury and didn't win, but maybe should have won.
They
You know, a
put him
lot
down,
of people I think, Fury was definitely he was all over the shop that night.
He was, yeah.
But let's see Fury, who is malleable, isn't he? Like you can imagine that he might be a handful in a cage with the tiny little gloves on. If he can work on a few defences, he's agile on his feet.
I like this.
You know, you think some of those big guys, like a Derek Chisora, if you get him on his back, he might be like a turtle. Like, you can't get him out, can you? He's knackered. And I know he's in the shoot fighters gym a lot, so he's super fit. I might be doing him an injustice. But some of those other big guys, you think they might be brittle, even though they're explosive. Like Deontay Wilder, imagine he's just too gangly. Someone's going to grab his arm and bend him up or something, catch an ankle.
That's right.
I think Fury, he's a bit like an eel, isn't he? You can't get hold of him.
Slippery, long eel.
And I'd like to see him fighting guys. Obviously, if it's not that, then the only person he can fight is Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
you know, and I'd like to see that this year. I think Joshua's just had a elbow surgery.
That's right,
So how long that puts him out for, I'm not sure. But if that puts him out, so he's back at the end of the year, they kick off Riyadh season with Fury Joshua. That's about the only fight that I think Fury or Joshua should carry on boxing for. They've both more than achieved enough within their careers, had great achievements, and they're not the number 1 in the division anymore. And you know, with Joshua getting beat by Dubois, something just as equally as devastating might happen to Fury. Let's have them two fight each other now to settle who was the best British heavyweight of that era, of this era. Even if they're fighting 5, 3, even 2 years beyond when it really could have happened and really caught fire, but still, then either fighter can say, hey, I was the man. I beat you.
He'll wrap it up nicely.
And they'll do it. They'll do it again. There'll be a
trilogy.
There'll be a trilogy.
Yeah, we'll get sick of it by the end. But we need it, though. We do need it before they fully hang up their gloves, for sure. Do you have a quick word about Ryan Garcia? I'm sure you were devastated to see him lose to Rolly Romero.
No, but apparently, I saw the clip of Floyd saying years ago that he Rolly Romero beats Garcia.
Really?
Yeah, but I think he was
the Oracle.
$200,000 he wanted to put on Rolly. I think he was going to give it to Ryan Garcia if he takes the fight and wins. But Garcia, I was really disappointed with him. He's obvious. This is what fame does to you. If you've got that many followers on Instagram, you don't care if you win or lose. And that showed in his fight, you know, and that is more powerful, it feels like, than money now. Because in the olden days, if you lost a fight, then the big paydays dry up. He knows that maybe the big paydays don't dry up because I have such a following online.
True. Or maybe as well, he was thinking, you know, I've got the Devin Haney rematch in September. All I have to do is just turn up, win this one, and then I've got a big money rematch with Devin Haney. But, you know, take your eye off the ball, and that's what happens in boxing.
It really does. And there's Conor Benn was out there, and I saw that, you know, Ryan Garcia talking about Conor Benn and vice versa, and I thought, that's a great fight. You know, again, are they influencer boxers? I don't know, but that would be a huge fight. Maybe it's a fight that's easier to make now that Garcia's been beat, but
none of it really lived up to the kind of billing.
No. It was a
All
boring weekend, wasn't it?
Bad,
like even the following night in Saudi, you know, Skull Canelo wasn't there, was it?
It wasn't good. Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubank going to get it on. Is that one that kind of tickles your fancy? Or
I like that.
Yeah,
I really like that. I'm a fan of both guys. I'm a fan of Harlem Eubank. I've been fortunate enough to cover a lot of his fights.
Yeah.
Been there, seen him box rings, been ringside for his fights. A very different Eubank to the other pros we've seen. He's a much more skillful type fighter. This will be his toughest fight yet, I'm sure. Catterall, he's a quality operator, but he's hard to beat, you know, at that southpaw stance. We saw that with the Josh Taylor fights. We see that with it was Prograis, wasn't it, last time out?
Yeah. It's not most easy on the eye, is he? He's a bit. You
know,
no,
yeah,
foot,
you know,
right?
he's effective, but so it's not the most pleasing on the eye, but and it might be a bit of a chess match. Eubank v Catterall.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Two quality operators. There's two Brits in a really good fight.
Yeah,
so
stepping up.
Yeah, and I think Eubank needed a big fight. This it's got to happen for him sooner or later. And
now it's happening. I think it's in Manchester AO Arena, so quite a big stadium for that fight as well, really. So hopefully they sell it out. Who would you say is the biggest rising star of British boxing at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, the one who always shoots to mind is Moses Itauma.
Yeah, I was going to say that. But come on, we've got to say Lucas Rohrig as well.
Yeah.
Boy.
So we know, my dude, Lucas Rohrig, cruiserweight, 4-0.
That's it.
He's boxing on the Josh Kelly card up in Newcastle on the 6th of June.
As you know, Frenchman.
Yes.
Sofiane, quote. How do you pronounce it? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't speak French, so I think it's a very French name.
Okay,
You know, winning record, looks good.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of footage of him.
No.
But
is that tough? Make it tougher to kind of train for?
Well, yes, but also you're prepping for the future, you're prepping for anyone.
Yeah. He's looked good, doesn't he? He's got 2 massive KOs so far. This is his 5th fight.
Yeah, this will be his 5th. So he's had 2 6 solid.
He looks like he's going to fill out even more, doesn't he?
I hope so. Yeah.
He's already big. He kind of towers over me. Yeah. I interviewed him, but he looks like there's a lot of room to put on weight.
Yeah. So he's just turned 22.
Yeah.
He's gonna fill out. He's still got a boyishness to him, even though he's got a 6-pack. But you can see that once he starts to fill out, he's going to. But we're keeping busy. He's a fantastic prospect.
For sure. And Moses as well. Word for him. He's fighting at the weekend, isn't he? Mike Balogun, who used to be an NFL linebacker, I think.
Ah, did he? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's transitioned to boxing. So
good luck to him.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out what's harder.
Yeah. Moses, he's known for his first round KOs, isn't he? Savage finishing, and still young. Lots of potential there.
I think one of the best boxing brains in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
So he's a very skillful fighter. Obviously, he's got so much more to, experience, and therefore become a more rounded, complete fighter. But lots of the heavyweights are big guys, strong guys, maybe good athletes in that field, but not natural. Doesn't have like a vast boxing IQ, if you will. But I think Itauma does. So
he reminds you a bit of Joseph Parker, kind of in that respect. Parker's not the biggest of guys, but he's definitely a good boxer, isn't he?
Yeah, Parker's a really good boxer, and when he first showed up, it felt like you would think he's not very big, so he must be good at boxing. That's how he's coped with these guys. But he is physically a big man.
Yeah. And
it was speaking to his trainer, who's done wonders since they've linked up together, Andy Lee, saying that Joseph Parker actually didn't have a lot of boxing knowledge because he grew up in that part of the world where there's not loads and loads of boxers.
Fair, yes.
He's not like, if you're European, you're lucky because you get to travel Europe. You'll be fighting. If you're British, you get to fight not only so many good fighters from Britain, but you might be going to France, Germany, Russia, Poland, Ukraine, all these countries where they're better at boxing than we are in the amateur game, at least.
True.
So, but in that part of the world, it took him a while to get going. But no, I think Joseph Parker's flying. But you can't say that for where at the level that Itauma is, he's got to be about the best out there.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
Future heavyweight champion for sure.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Okay, I can't remember if we spoke about Jake Paul last time. I think we probably did, but he's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He's obviously a bit past his best now as well. 10-round fight at cruiserweight, so he'll have to cut back down from, I think it was 228. He weighed in against Mike Tyson, so back down he goes. Any excitement in that one for you?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch Chavez, see the last time he boxed. Because there isn't a British fighter in the last 30 years who hasn't called out Chavez, I think. I'm sure Frotch was after him at one point. I thought I might get him at one point. You know, he's a good fighter, but dining out on his father's name, of course, and failed the weight a few times. But if he's got, who knows what he's got left, but that might be a really good fight, because, you know, I can imagine Chavez Senior would still beat Jake Paul. So maybe if that's the case, maybe the son does as well.
Maybe,
we want to see entertainment. That's influence the box. That's entertainment. Let's see if it's entertaining. But is he stepping closer, Owen, to a legitimate pro, or is he stepping further away?
I think you've got to say he's stepping a bit closer.
It must be, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Tyson thing was a bit of a
Tyson reached far higher, you know, a far higher level, but a long time ago. Chavez not there, but
not as old, at least. Not granddad. So.
No, he's not.
No.
Well,
as far as I know,
not,
I haven't checked his family tree, but you can't imagine that it is. But I mean,
is that he only fights granddads actually?
Maybe that's
what
he lets himself
the
do.
truth is that he had kids young and he's a granddad now.
Could be. There's not too much else, I don't think, coming up in the agenda. Fabio Wardley, obviously, Big Baby pulled out again, or we don't know quite why. So now he's fighting a Romanian guy whose name escapes me. But we need Fabio Wardley to win that, don't we?
Yeah, Fabio Wardley's doing really well. You know, a handful in the heavyweight division. I think, like this year, I'd like to see him kick on. I think you throw him in the mix with a Joseph Parker or someone of that you know, that level. Let's see as he goes through the levels if his box ability can improve still, and his physical power and athleticism can keep can stand him in the good stead that he already has.
Hopefully it will. All right, I think that wraps it up today nicely. Thank you very much, George. We'll speak to you next month.
Nice one.